A girl with long hair and these big cannons has the ability to get rid of anybody's luck just by touching it. Oh yes, and I said in my last video I would find you if you asked the name of the manga. You've left me no choice, Riot Darks. Fuuko Izumo is your almost average schoolgirl, and I said almost average, who's in love with romance manga and hoped to be a normal schoolgirl in her youth. She was going to turn the off switch, until a whole crowd of people begged her not to jump off of the bridge. She brought out a knife to draw the crowd away from her, telling people she has a deadly disease and to stay away from her. While looking over the edge, she is waiting to catch the next train, but a shirtless man walks straight into the knife. She turns around and screams, surprised by what happened. Her cheeks get squeezed by the tall man. He is surprised by what he heard and says he's never heard of it and seems excited by it. He says suicides have been getting stale these days, which is concerning, and asks her where it's going to hurt as he's waiting for it to happen. She says it's coming. She says, my unluck. Then the floor beneath him breaks and he falls to his death on the train track. She rushes down to see if he survived, only to find his body wasn't there anymore, and there's only a dent left on the train. She was about to start crying until she saw the man's head lying on the floor laughing. Finding out the disease thing, she was only saying it to protect the people from herself. She was so surprised and confused that he didn't die and the man regenerated all of his limbs. Well, except for his clothes. Fuuko sees his whole giant Tyrannosaurus Rex right in front of her. She punches the man in the light bulbs and makes a run for it, thinking that he's a zombie. The man dashes to Fuuko and grabs her and tells her he isn't a zombie, he's an undead, and has a few questions for her, but is quickly interrupted when someone sees the naked guy grabbing a girl. Kinda suspicious if you ask me. The man degenerates his legs and uses his blood to propel into the air at high speeds to get away from them before the police come. Going from building to building, he stops at a taller one. He tries to explain how he flew up from the building, but while he's trying to explain, Fuuko is in shock. She is confused on who or what this guy is, and she thinks he's kidnapping her and tries to leap off the building. The man grabs her and says she isn't going anywhere as he still has a few questions to ask. She yells at him to let go of her because he's going to trigger her unluck again. The man says he'll be okay because he's touching her clothes. He wants to know what her unluck is all about and he'll let her back up if she tells him. She says forget it, and she was planning to die anyway today and his threats don't scare her. He smirks and spins her around at the edge of the building. Fuuko screams she'll talk. It started 10 years ago when she was 8 years old. Her parents were going on a business trip overseas for a whole week, and she gave them a hug before they left. 10 minutes after that hug, there was unexpected plane trouble and the plane exploded. All 270 people on the plane died, including her parents. It was then that she learned that when people touch her, they end up getting hurt. The longer she's touched, the worse the unluck is, and depending on where she is touched. And ever since then, she's been covering up her skin to avoid incidents like this. The man slides his hand in her shirt to feel her milk bazookas.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
She jumps off of him, and a massive crate of bananas falls onto the man, and she makes a run for it. Then slips on a banana like it's Mario Kart 7. Then falls off the building. The man calls her a liar and realizes she's gone. Fuuko thinks about how dumb her death is going to be, slipping on a banana and falling to her death. He jumps off the building, degenerates his legs, and uses his bone as a hook to hook off of the building to slow their fall. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but this dude looks like an off-brand band from 7 Deadly Sins. She was in tears, and the man tells Fuuko that she's got a power that can give him a real death, as he's lived a long life. The man takes Fuuko to figure out how exactly her unluck works. Meanwhile, a few men on top of a building are spying on them. One of the men say they'll go after both of them after they figure out Fuuko's ability. Figuring out the longer he touches her, the more dangerous the unluck is, and was about to see if touching a bigger area of her body would do anything, and demands Fuuko take off her clothes. Luckily, Fuuko ran away faster than YouTube could demonetize this video. She says she isn't stripping for him, and the man tried to catch Fuuko, and she kept running. Eventually, her jacket got caught on a wire. Her hat and clothes came off, revealing her very long hair, yet again saving me from demonetization. She cries about how no one can cut her hair because they would just end up dying. The man grabs her face again and starts cutting Fuuko's hair. Fuuko is worried that the man is going to to die if he cuts her hair. The man says he's undead and is going to survive anyway. After he's finished cutting Fuuko's hair and shows her, she goes red and thanks him. The man was holding her for 15 minutes, so something is about to happen, but before they could guess, his head gets cut off. Fuuko is surprised that the man knows her name. The guy in the suit puts the undead man's head inside of a special capsule so he can't regenerate his body. Before she could do anything, they cuffed her hands, and she thought that they were on her side. The guy explains that their job is to police any negators or umas that pose a threat to society. She was confused, and the guy explains that she negates the luck of whoever touches her and kills them. Perfectly suited for a murder, he said. She asks what they plan on doing with her power, and the guy asked, what better use could it have other than killing? And he's certain that undead captured her for that reason. Fuuko explains that he only used her unluck so that he could kill himself, even though she did get touched a little too much, and said, don't you dare mislabel him. And why do these random men keep grabbing her face? I guess the author just really loves cheeks. Wait. She cries and thanks the zombie man for cutting her hair, and lightning starts forming in the clouds. And then a massive lightning bolt strikes Zombie while inside of the capsule, electrocuting the man holding it. To everyone's surprise, Zombie didn't make contact with Fuuko, not knowing that undead cut her hair earlier. He leaps out of the capsule and begins regenerating his body. The guy in the suit says using guns are ineffective and to cut him down instead, and Zombie pulls the broken blade he keeps in his skull. Undead usually doesn't have space for weapons, so he put a cork in his brain that keeps 100 years worth of memories bottled up. And he understands now that getting his head sliced off wasn't Fuuko's unluck, it was the lightning bolt. Learning that Fuuko's unluck has time lag sometimes before it triggers. The man in the suit tells Undead to put his hands over his head without regenerating, and he cuts his head off to save Fuuko's neck. Before Fuuko tells Undead that she's going to be okay and to save himself, and halfway through talking, Undead already cut his head off and tells her he doesn't care why she thinks he shouldn't help her, and he had fun today, and says that they should do more stuff like this if they meet again, and tosses his head. Fuuko breaks out of the man's hold and runs to Undead's head and kisses it before she falls on the floor. The man asks what she just did. She tells the man she cast her worries aside and says here her unluck comes. Undead regenerates and holds the man down, and Fuuko runs out of the building. A giant meteor crashes down from the sky, and Undead is excited to see the meteorite crashing down. The meteor destroys the entire building and everything around it, reducing it to atoms. Fuuko was so surprised by the giant meteorite, not knowing her unluck could cause something like that. Soon after, Undead rose from the heat after taking a meteorite to the face. Undead thanks her for the help. Fuuko asks his name, and he says he doesn't remember, and says Undead, it's good enough. And Fuuko decides to call him Andy. Seeing the destruction, Andy says they should test out what would happen if they did Netflix and chill, and Fuuko dashes away.